Hey everyone, welcome back to CryptoCache. Thank you so much for joining me here. Hope you're having an amazing day. We're going to take a quick look at Sandbox, and before we do, we jump into Bitcoin, kind of see what's going on with that bad boy. And when I say bad boy, that's not a term of endearment. It's basically just, it's been literally a bad boy. It keeps hitting this little reset button with this up and down action that kind of is screwing with a lot of these other altcoins right now. So unfortunately, keep this in mind, majority of coins right now, minus I would say, Luna and a few other exceptions, are adopting the same philosophy to Bitcoin. They're selling off when Bitcoin does, and they're increasing when Bitcoin does. So we kind of just got to identify that, right? Find out which ones are specifically reliant on Bitcoin for now, and perhaps consider alternative options if you're going to be investing. Not to say you can't dollar cost average and buy the bottom, but Bitcoin's kind of calling the shots right now based on this fear market that we're still in. So we just got to be real with that. I wanted to bring that to your attention, let you know. But based on the technical here, we're above the 50-day simple moving average, working as a nice support level. It should essentially be able to bring the price back up to, inevitably, right? Within the next week or two, we should be able to see the price over 60,000. I hope it doesn't take that long, but I feel like 60,000 is a major resistance level. You can see here, there's a strong resistance of not only volume, but also the moving averages. We got a 200-day simple moving average on the 4-hour chart and the 50-day simple moving average on the 200 chart. Or sorry, the 1-day chart, the 200 on the 4-hour. So ultimately, we got some strong resistance levels right at 61,000 minus the obvious 60,000, which is a previous Fibonacci retracement level. So just bear that in mind. That's kind of where we're at here for Bitcoin. All right, so let's go and move on to Sandbox. And just before we do, not a financial advisor, just want to let you know that I love teaching people how to trade. That's the reason why I created this channel and my trading community, which is growing a lot faster than I expected. I actually had to close the doors recently, and they're going to be reopened again tomorrow. So don't worry, there'll be plenty of slots available tomorrow, December 1st, for CryptoCache Premium. I basically send out signals for every single trade that I take, so you can kind of adopt a similar philosophy and learn how to kind of structure your trades, but also learn from the group. We got an amazing group of people there, and it's just a really awesome experience. We are available through Telegram and Discord. All right, so taking a look here at Sandbox, looking at the moving averages, those are irrelevant. We don't need to worry about that for now because they're obviously moving too slow and the price went up too fast, right? Eventually, we will be worrying about that, but for right now, we're all good. We're testing the 70 on the RSI. That can be a good thing and a bad thing potentially. So in other words, 70 on the RSI is very synonymous here with the price action right at about $6.67 or $6.68 if you round up. So the fact that the 1-day candlestick hasn't closed below that yet is a good sign. Granted, we only have 3 hours left in this trading cycle, but if we can close above, that'll be very helpful. We might be able to see a leg up from there based on that alone. That does help a lot to have a strong support level on the 1-day chart. And as we can see here, looking at the 4-hour, you can see it's been tested 1, 2, 3, 4, almost 5 hours in a row. And also note too, this is one thing, this is the reason why we look at Bitcoin first. We look at the 4-hour chart on Bitcoin, it's been kind of all over the place, down from what? It's been a range of somewhere in the range of about 6% from bottom to top in the last 24 hours. If we look at Sandbox, we don't see a 6% variant here. We see a much smaller variant based on the fact that it's stabilizing, right? So it's consolidating at support. We got the 50-day sub moving average moving up. There's a good chance that the price will slowly start to progress upwards with that. Okay, so just bear that in mind. That's a very good sign. 70 on the RSI is great on the 1-day chart. Now let's take a look at the 50. Or actually, correction, I was going to say the 50 there, but it's actually at 50 right now. The RSI is at 50 on the 4-hour chart. So if you see the concurrent nature here, right? We got 70 on the RSI, and we also got 50 on the RSI for the 4-hour, right? So you put those two together, essentially, that's the same exact spot at 668. So it's kind of just telling us that 668 is a strong support level, and that's something we want to make sure to pay attention to. Now we have a potential bullish convergence here in the future. Obviously, a lot of stuff has to happen in order for that to occur, but you can tell that the bears are starting to kind of lose control, and that might be shifting in a bullish fashion, right? So all good stuff there. I like to see that. Let's go ahead and take a look at the Ichimoku cloud on the 1-hour. We're still below the cloud, so this doesn't indicate a buy signal. But what's nice about this is the fact that the price, if it just slowly progresses upwards, will inevitably be out of the cloud. And also just note, the cloud has the nature of the cloud, it'll eventually start to dissipate as the price comes down, right? So we got that, and it'll come down. So if we can just stay sideways for a day or two, Sandbox will likely have enough support to be able to continue upwards. We should be just fine. Because I like the fact that it's actually doing well right now in the past 12 to 24 hours, where Bitcoin's kind of been sporadic. Sandbox is kind of mostly consolidating, right? But it's not having that same knee-jerk reaction that most of these other coins are having. And that's a good sign. We like to see that. So that's important to identify because that really helps us in the big picture. But right now, Ishimoku Cloud says do not consider a long position. Hold on and wait for the cloud to be below the price action. Okay. Moving on to TD sequential, we got a bunch of resets here, but you can see there was a 9 followed by a consolidation and then another 9. And now we got further consolidation. So I don't speculate it going much lower. Usually when you have 2 9s in a row to the downside, there's going to be a return fire and it's going to come back up. And look at this. Sandbox has a tendency of repeating the same behavior. Look, you see it comes up to a 9 right here, reset, another 9, and then it lost. So we got this 9 here, 9, and then we could effectively see an inverse pattern there, right? So this is coming to full fruition. In other words, Sandbox has a tendency of hitting 9s consistently and then retracing and then just kind of repeating that behavior twice in a row. We saw it on the upside, we saw the downside, but here's the cool thing. The downside isn't as much or as severe as the upside was, right? So this upside went up nice, we got 2 higher highs, but when we came down, they're 2 lower lows, but they're also very subtle, right? In other words, what that just means is we still have higher highs and higher lows, okay? So we got this, higher high, and then higher low. So the fact that this didn't get lower than this is extremely important, right? It's basically an equivalent low, if you will. It didn't go lower low. It just essentially only went lower than the previous. I hope I'm explaining that correctly, but what I'm getting at is that we have some positive indications there. And the fact that this didn't go any lower than the support level is extremely important. So I would say dollar cost average right around 670 if possible. And obviously, again, depends on your big picture here. But I do feel confident in saying that Sandbox should be double digits by year end. I think it's just an inevitability at this point. Okay, so I think we're in good shape all in all. So hopefully you found benefit here. Let's go ahead and take a quick peek at the best case scenario because I know you like to hear that. Better case scenario, we're looking at about $13 from Sandbox. And keep in mind, the way this moved previously, it took it only 3 to 4 trading days. So 4 trading days, we saw an increase from Sandbox of upwards of 130%. So we want to say that same amount of travel, so to speak, say we break the all-time high here soon, we could see an extra 50 to 60% over the next 2 to 3 weeks. Okay. Now, granted, once Sandbox breaks this all-time high, it could happen a lot faster. It did that previously. It did very well. It could happen again, but I like to be conservative and give you more of a realistic estimate. I would say by year end, it's safe to presume we're looking at double digits / $13, but it could very well happen in 4, 7, 14 days, somewhere in that range. So I'd say 1 to 2 weeks is probably more realistic, but conservatively, I would say 1 to 2 months. There it is. All right, so that's just my speculation. We'll keep a close eye on this here. Hope you found this beneficial, of course. If you did, like, subscribe, contact me through social media, whatever the case. Feel free to consider becoming a patron tomorrow. We do have open enrollment in December again. So look forward to getting to know you better, rather, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Thanks again for your time. We'll see you soon.